So make sure you have a pen and paper handy. I'm going to get some strategies for burning fat, ditching love handles, and then making sure that meal prep is easy, because that's arguably one of the most difficult pieces of getting and staying in shape, because meal prep is annoying. So this is going to be an interactive class. So you have questions or comments for me, just jot them down and we'll answer them. We'll take a pause and answer them. It's going to be a small group, so it'll be easy. So got a ton planned for the next hour or so. So just stick around, but let me know if you do have any questions. If you don't know, my name is Nate Palmer. I've been working as a trainer since 2008. I worked at a legendary weight loss program in Seattle called the 2020 Lifestyles Program. And it was the longest running weight loss study in the US. And so I really have seen what works and what doesn't. In 2018, I wrote a really popular article for a major publication about how busy parents can batch prep instead of meal prep, and how doing it like this can actually get them to stick with the diet all year long instead of giving it up when things get busy. Fast forward to 2021, I was working with a group of business owners who were sick of dieting, but needed energy and focus for the day. So we created a plan that honed in on increasing their energy, helping them get more done in less time. And the craziest thing is when they started focusing on the energy aspect rather than just like, how do I cut calories? How do I cut carbs? That sort of thing. They started getting better results than they'd ever gotten on a diet. So that's kind of when it clicked for me that eating for energy makes weight loss easier, and eating for weight loss makes life miserable. The problem that people kept running into is that dinners and meal prep in general is still really tough for them. So even though they had the framework to accomplish it, and they knew exactly we need to do the proteins and fats in the morning, the proteins and vegetables for lunch, proteins, carbs, and vegetables for dinner, like, okay, that all checks out. But how do we do it? They still felt like time was kind of the issue there. So I hope that I see some heads nodding. If you are feeling like that same kind of way, give me a thumbs up, because I know we've all been there. We're like, this rules, this diet's kicking ass. I'm killing it for me. But how can I keep going when it takes me literally 90 minutes? And I don't know if you guys ever have done like a Blue Apron or like Good Eats or anything like that, where they ship the stuff to your door. They're like healthy meals, and you prepare really fast. And then they ship you 97 little ingredients in tiny bags you have to like mix up. And then like, yeah, apply gently to the top of your meatloaf. And you're like, did I need to though? Was that really important? So I feel like this is going to be like the brutally like simple way of getting this done really easily. Cause I'm not a fancy person. I cook like 3 things really well, and that's it. So here's what we're going to be talking about today. Number 1, how eating for energy will create the results you've never sustained before. How dinner is critical to your long-term success. How to prep and eat healthy dinners that your family will enjoy. And I'm going to be sharing some stuff that we've never shared in the group before. That's why this is kind of like a private class. It's only going to be streamed into the group. And then after that, like I'm not doing this as like a podcast. So we're going to be sharing things that we've never shared in the group before. And hopefully you're going to be okay with me sharing some of what I do with my clients. But I also wanted to get your permission first that if I share so much value on the call that you'll be okay hearing what our paid clients are doing, I can show you how you can work with us at the end. So I just want to make sure that was okay. Is that fair? Cool. So this training is mostly for 2 types of people. Number 1, it's for people who don't have time to do lengthy meal prep, marathon workouts, people who are busy being parents, busy being entrepreneurs, or just have so much going on that the thought of adding a diet or exercise program makes you shudder. So if that's you, just write busy in the chat. I want to see where are my busy people at. The second type of person that I think could really get a lot out of this is the person who's tried a lot of diets and seen some success, but nothing is stuck long-term. Or they've gained and lost the same 30 pounds over and over again, but have had a really hard time breaking out of a plateau. Whether the plans weren't sustainable, there was not accountability, life got in the way. Either way, like you're familiar with nutrition and diets, you've done that stuff before, but you are still looking for the one that's going to work long-term. So if that's you, write plateau. So who's been there before? So like, why are we here right now? Because it's not just about meal prep, right? You know, if it was just about meal prep, then there's a million different articles and things online or recipe guides and all that stuff. So, but I hear a lot of people's struggles day to day about people who are working on building the body and then the life of their dreams. I see that a lot of people are doing keto. They're doing 75 hard. People are on Peloton all the time. You're doing Orange Theory. Everyone has their own thoughts on supplements, but we just don't know what the right option is for us. So like, I mean, just the other day, I was talking to someone who watched Game Changers, that old vegetarian documentary on Netflix, and they changed their diet overnight. They were like, I'm doing vegetarianism right now, forks over knives. And I was like, you just, one night, you just changed everything based off of Netflix? Come on. But like, that's what's happening out there. There's paralysis by overanalysis, right? Everybody muted except me. So maybe you've changed your diet and you got some good results in like the first couple of weeks, but then it seems like in order to keep the results going, you need to be prepping your food for 6 hours every Sunday. And then by Friday, I don't know if it's just me or not, but like, I'm just not super excited to reach back into that Tupperware and pull out like dry chicken breast and slimy broccoli. So I see a lot, like I see a lot with clients who are first starting out, it's exciting. It's new. They're motivated. They prep their food. They're getting good results. You're seeing the scale go down, but then there's a busy week. Then something happens. They don't meal prep on Sunday. Then they're out of town. There's like a football game, something like that. They don't meal prep. And then it's so hard to get back into it because they know once they do it, it's going to be the same old food that they're eating. Or it's like you have to now carve out 4 hours somewhere in the middle of the week. And I don't think that there's a lot of parents or business owners out there that are like, oh yeah, got plenty of time. It's very easy for me. So, or maybe like, I feel like a lot of times those people are kind of all or nothing too, where if it's not going to be 100% done with all of your meals prepped and color coded and stuff like that, we throw up our hands and we go, I blew it, screw it. Right. It's kind of that all or nothing mentality. Or like sometimes what happens, I see people who are getting the results they want. They're doing great. And then all of a sudden they're plateaued for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. And then the last like 10 to 20 pounds of the belly fat or the love handles are just won't budge no matter what you do. And so now you're feeling disappointed because you're like, I'm doing the right things. I'm doing all these things. I'm eating the dry chicken. Like where are my results? And that's like my favorite type of person to talk to, because I feel like just a small tweak here or there can start seeing results again. And, you get really excited when you start seeing like the scale moving or starting getting towards your goals. So before we get into the actual recipes and all that stuff, let's get really clear. I'm going to give you 2 minutes here. Write this down. You don't have to share it with me if you don't want to, but what goal would, if you accomplish it in the next 6 to 12 months, would make you absolutely ecstatic? What would you be so juiced about if you got this done by June of this year? Ricardo says, get down to 190, keep that 315 bench press going though. Nice. Also, cooking's no fun. I kind of agree with you. I'm not like, I don't mind it. But I really like that short order cook. I'm not trying to like chef it up and like salt bait you. You know what I mean? Janice got a weight loss goal. Yeah, put it in chat. Who cares? I want to see. I'm interested. It's more important that but like I'm curious too. So because honestly, like if you have a goal for yourself and you're like, okay, here's the direction we're headed, then it's going to be a lot easier. If you're like, I want to get healthy, I always be like, what's healthy mean? You're like, I don't know, lose weight. Well, how much weight? Like if you like the clearer we can get on our goals, because then it's like, okay, I want to lose 20 pounds in the next 6 months. Well, that means you need to lose 10 pounds in 3 months, 5 pounds in 6 weeks. That means you're losing like a pound a week. Okay, we can set a goal with that, right? So the clearer you can get on this, the easier it is to start establishing the right habits and action steps on a daily basis. Daniil got a weight loss goal. Awesome. Yeah, hit me.
I could share. So I have a personal and like a family type goal. The personal one being, like I want to get down to my playing weight, which I think is about 20 pounds. And then from a family goal, I feel like, especially my kids, like they eat way too much soft food. And I'm really trying to like incorporate like foods that they can eat where they're really like working out their jaws. And it's hard. Like other than like carrots and like, I'm trying to like find that balance between what they won't like throw up their hands and be like, oh, that's gross, that's disgusting, versus like, just eating like soft foods all day.
That's such an interesting thing that you bring up, because like the way that food companies are now designing foods is to make things hyper palatable. So they're adding sugar, they're adding salt, and they're adding fats to everything so we can get that dopamine response in our brain. And then they're making it super, super soft, right? Like you can eat a hamburger from McDonald's in like 2 bites, right? You don't even need to chew it, just swallow it. because that way you don't necessarily need to, like, you don't create that, like all the saliva, you don't get satiated, you want to get hungrier. So I love that you're in tune with that. Plus chewing your food actually will build a better jawline too. So that's, looking out for them in the future. I got some good thoughts for you on that. A lot of this stuff is going to be like require some good mastication as well. And also, like, you guys ever had the experience where like you have McDonald's French fries? Have you ever eaten one McDonald's French fry? Raise your hand if you've had one McDonald's French fry like this. No, I don't think anyone has. I don't think that's possible. I think everyone eats them like this. Like you get the, like, you suddenly develop, like, you don't have hands anymore, you have the claw. So, but that's like, that is by design. We are being played in that way. Like, everything is stacked against us because food scientists get paid a lot of money to help us create disordered eating patterns like that. On the flip side though, meal prep can be kind of the worst. It's time consuming. And then, like, has anyone meal prepped before? Give me a thumbs up or raise your hand. Yeah. Have you prepped for 2 weeks? 6 weeks? Anyone prepped for longer than like 3 months? I feel like that. Yeah, just jump in if you have. If you prepped for longer than 3 or 6 months, I'd love to hear it, because I feel like that's. Brent, have you? No, I haven't. I'll go on streaks, but I have a really hard time. Go ahead, Brittany. What?
Sell meal prep sometimes. So I did it for like at least maybe like 5 to 6 weeks. I wasn't the most consistent with my diet, but actually like selling them. And it was a pretty cool experience for me because I wound up eating all my food for free. And I was just like selling to people I worked around or some of my brother's friends. But I wasn't like counting all the calories or the sodium exactly on spot. So that was one thing that was different for me as far as like other people that were selling meal preps.
Gotcha. So you were actually doing it for people.
Yeah.
Cool business. Low margins, I've heard.
Yeah, I know. I wasn't really for the profit. It was more just to like sell the food so I could eat for free. And then it kind of helped me stay committed too. Sometimes I would meal prep and make way too much. I'm like, what do I do with this? So I would just sell it. I would spend a whole day cooking, and then it was enough for like 3-4 people.
Cool. That's awesome. Yeah. So, but like kind of, then you turn it into like a part-time job too. So like, yeah, kind of to my point, like, it's work. It takes a lot. So you can either pay someone to do it like you were doing, or you can do it on your own, which is time consuming. I don't see a lot of people who have done this long-term, but the type of meal prepping that I'm going to tell you about today, I've been able to do this now for 3 years consistently. And it does not take me very much time at all. And I don't eat chicken breast. Like, I don't eat chicken breast, period. That's just that's a rule in my life, kind of. So because a lot of times, like, what happens is we prep, right? We prep our foods, we lose weight. It works, right? That's like eating at home works. It's one of the biggest things. But most of the time we stop and then we gain our weight back. And then this creates this cycle of weight loss, plateau, weight gain. And also, I don't know if you know this, but weight loss and then weight gain. So like, if you start at like 180 pounds, you drop down to 150 pounds and you go back up to 180 pounds and you're at 180 again, that is much worse and much less healthy than just staying there. So if you're going to stop again, just stay stopped. Just don't lose weight, right? Until you're ready to make this a habit, because this is how people end up on this cycle, this roller coaster where their metabolism gradually decreases. This is the Biggest Loser phenomenon. Do you throw in the chat? What's your guess? How many people in the Biggest Loser who have lost all that weight? How many people, what percentage have gained it back? Hit me, Matt. What do you think?
Yeah, I was going to say like 85%.
85, 90, 80, 90, 92. I think that answer is either 99 or 100%. There are 1 or 2 people who have been able to maintain it. And here's the thing about those 2 people is they eat 1,200 calories per day and they do 1 hour of cardio every single day. And they have to do that for the rest of their life because they've been in this cycle over and over and over again. So their metabolism is completely just shut down. It's the bottom of the barrel. And that's not what we want. So what I'm trying to tell you right here is not like go do a 6-week cleanse or do anything like that. I'm saying that's detrimental if you cannot continue. We need to find something sustainable. So I'd much rather you think about this like even if you're like, I got to lose 5 pounds, think about that as being a 6-month long goal. A month to do it. and then another 5 months to lock that in so your body has a new set point. Okay, this is critical to our success. And during that maintenance phase, which is, by the way, the least sexy thing to talk about in fitness. That's why there's no like big magazines that are like Vogue, maintain your weight. You know, like no one says that shit. So like, but that's arguably the most important. So everyone is so hung up on the loss that we don't talk about the maintenance. Okay, and I'm going to tell you how to do that with some practical tips. Another problem that I see,
do you think,
go ahead.
Do you think people set like, expectations that are just like out of reach for their own bodies? And, you know, like like personally, my goal isn't to like, you know, look skinny. It's just to like get into that like equilibrium that I feel like my body is like works well at. But I feel like a lot of people just like set a goal. Hey, I want to lose 30 pounds. And it's like well below what their healthy weight should be.
Yeah, I think that also a lot of times people will say, I need to lose 30 pounds in this time frame for this trip with experience. And like, and if that doesn't happen, or if they get there, it's like the wedding syndrome, where I've worked with a ton of brides, and right leading up to the wedding, brides are the greatest clients in the world. They hit everything. They meal prep the whole time. They're hitting their cardio. And then the wedding happens and they are gone. You don't see them for months. And then they gain that weight back. The worst clients in the world right afterwards. So we like just want to make sure that like if you are setting a weight loss goal and you want it to be like, you can be 8% body fat, 6% body fat, you can be there. It's totally fine. But just making sure that you have accurate expectations of, what is that going to cost you in terms of your time, your nutrition? Are you going to be like, most people are pretty grumpy at 6% body fat. You know, it doesn't feel very good to be there. You have to be very in control of your diet. You're not a lot of fun at parties, you know? So like, are you willing to pay that price? And then B, do you understand how long this is going to take you? So I feel like if the expectations are accurate, then that's important. And that's something that I can help out with too. If you're like, hey, I want to get down to 110 pounds, I'm gonna be like, maybe let's start higher than that and see how you feel. You know, so like that's I think a good trainer or coach is going to be able to help you set those accurate expectations and tell you what is the cost associated with doing this. Another problem that I find with a lot of this, like the meal prep, is that eating week-old food out of Tupperware stinks. Like when your choice is a granola bar or dried chicken and slimy broccoli, what you've done is you've made the granola bar just such an easy choice. You've lubed up the entry for that to make that choice. And we've made the choice to get the chicken breast a lot more friction. We've added friction to that. We want to flip that. So if we want to make a good choice, we want to decrease our friction. We want to make it very easy for us to make the good choice. We want to make it harder for us to make the bad choice, whether that's grabbing your kids like Uncrustable, which is I'm 100% guilty of that, or a granola bar, or something that's like, you know, just week-old bean burrito that's been sitting in the fridge. So taking those things that are the wrong choice and making it a little harder for us to get to those, putting them farther away, putting them out of reach, throwing them in the trash, and then making it very easy for us to make that good choice. Okay. So like, for example, rather than having like that, just a chicken breast sitting in there, you're looking at it like, again, chop that into pieces, throw a little like olive oil on, salt and pepper on that. Now it's a chicken salad. Okay. So like now it's something just a little bit easier, more palatable that we can get to. So we want to make sure that the friction is removed from the good choices and we're making it very easy to say yes. That way we're not having to, again, white knuckle this the whole time and force ourselves to do it. Because what happens when you have a busy day at work? The kids are yelling at you. There was an accident on the freeway. It took you 3 times as long to get home. You're annoyed. You have no patience, no tolerance. And you get home and you're like, great, let me rustle up some good food here. Take an hour to cook something healthy. You're not going to do it. You know, we've spent all of our emotional energy early in the day. Let's make this very easy for us. So these are kind of the principles that we're going to talk about. The last thing is that cooking for kids separately makes your life way harder. So anyone have kids that are like, I don't eat that shit. That looks like health food. I want something different. Yeah. My daughter's like, she won't eat the crust of things, right? Like that's a normal kid thing. But she also gets the Uncrustables and she won't eat the crust of the Uncrustable. And I'm like, what's wrong with you? If my kids had it their way, they would eat mac and cheese at every meal. So I think kids don't love fitness food. And I also think that clean versus dirty can start instilling these weird mental frameworks around food and give kids like disordered eating patterns. That's a dirty food. You're like, ew, like Why would you even say, like, why you got to say it in that tone of voice to me, you know? So I think that the verbiage that we use as parents is also important when we're talking about nutrition to our kids. So rather than being like, you got to eat, we got to eat clean, mom's taking a cheat meal, let's talk about nutritious food and nutrient density. Hey, this is a nutritious, healthy food. This is going to be really good for you. This is going to help make your body strong. Okay. Can you see how that's a lot more positive than being like, hey, this is a clean food that mama needs to lose weight. Mama needs to drop fat. Mama needs to decrease her pant size. You see all those words now lead us to thinking about how do we make ourselves smaller? Women are victimized by this in the media all the time. So thanks for coming to my TED Talk. So those are kind of the main things that I see as being the problems with kind of traditional meal prep, as well as the big problem we're trying to solve of losing the weight, but also keeping it off for good. Okay. So in the next like 60 seconds, take a quick second, write down what are the problems that you're facing and what's going to get in the way of your success. And I think this could be a couple things. It could be, I'm going on a cruise in May and I'm going to be, there is the Lido deck. So I'm probably going to eat a lot of like chocolate out of the chocolate fountain. You know, if they're not looking, you can kind of stick your head in there. It could be like, I have a busy work season right now. I'm working 12, 15-hour days. It could be my kids don't like to eat healthy food. What else is going to derail your progress or is going to keep you from having the success you want? Because if we can think about these things ahead of time and proactively solve for them, it's going to make your life way easier. So take 2 minutes right now and I'll make Jeopardy noises into the microphone. Me, 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 me. There's a way to do sound on this. I just don't know how it is. It's too bad because I got great songs.
Hey, Nate.
Yes, sir.
So I have a question that I wanted to ask earlier. Just because when I meal prep, so I've meal prepped for like about 2 months before.
Okay.
And I like to keep it basic just because it's easy to cook a lot of shit of the same shit, basically. But
Yeah.
then I catch myself at 2 minutes and I'm just like, I'm tired of this shit. But then it goes back to like when it's cooking, it's easier. What's been like, I guess your clients, you know, how the clients who have had the most success, what have you seen them do? You know, do they try a couple different foods? Do they keep it basic? Because the thing with me is I kept it basic. Like all 3 meals are the same. My breakfast is the only thing that was different.
Yeah, that's a great question. So I think there's a kind of diminishing returns there. You know, like if you're eating chicken and broccoli, or even like something that's not horrible, like if you're eating like steak and potatoes for every meal, even though that's good, you're still going to get burnt out on that. So if you're eating that for every single meal, like that's eventually going to catch up to you. So I think there is a lot to say about simplicity, especially when I consider mastering the mundane to being one of the key tenets of staying in great shape for your entire life. I think there's also such a thing as being too simplistic. So I think there's a way we get around that. And I'll talk a little bit about that. Anyone else have anything they wanted to share about obstacles, the things that kept coming up? Anything that can derail your progress? Go ahead.
I think for me, the main reason I kind of dropped the ball on my meal preps is because I'm a perfectionist. And then instead of doing the simple meals, I'm always doing something like so extravagant and pretty and too much ingredients. And it's good. And I don't get as tired of it. So I know that's beneficial. I don't get bored with what I'm eating. But I think because it takes so much time and I'm putting so much time into it that I just dropped the ball.
Yeah. I guess I feel like that is the opposite of what Ricardo just said, right? So Ricardo is too simple and it burned him out. Yours is too complicated. It's taking too much time. So I think there's probably some way we can meet in the middle. So it's not completely boring, but it's also not taking up all your time and we're still getting some variation in there. And I'm going to talk about that. Anyone else have anything else that they wanted to add to this? Any obstacles? Cool. And the Facebook group said, I didn't see it. Got the chat going. Sometimes it takes slow to update. All right. So there's 3 main things that we want to focus on. So if you're taking notes right now, write down, it's going crazy. Simplify your meals. Simplify your meals. Okay. So in the $1 Million Body program, I talk about a framework, right? If you haven't checked out the book yet, you can go to getnatesbook.com, download that for free. It's on Audible, on Amazon, stuff like that. You can check it out. But the framework is this: Okay. It's a protein and a fat for breakfast. It's a protein and a vegetable for lunch. And it's a protein, a carb, and a vegetable for dinner. Okay. So with this framework now, a lot of times we have like, Brittany, you do your Master Hands painting service, right? You are the business owner, you do marketing, you putting out fires, you're running crews, you got scheduling, you have so much on your plate that when it come time to like, you get home and you got a bunch of ingredients in your fridge, like you might not have like the mental focus and like availability to start whipping up something really fancy, right? Like the idea of like putting that together is probably pretty daunting. So what if now I said, okay, Brittany, you need a protein, a carb, and a vegetable for dinner. And you go, okay, protein, look, let's see, got frozen chicken breast that I can just heat in the microwave. Check. Okay. I got Trader Joe's like frozen potatoes. I'm gonna put those in the pan. Check. Okay. Vegetable. What do I have in here? I got baby carrots. Great. Do you see now how you have a great meal already put together and you can just heat those things up that you need to? Okay. So simplify this down, right? I think everyone tries to make these too complicated because we look at recipes from professional chefs and you're like, what do you mean you're going to mix in a full thing of butter? Like how long does it take to make me the sauce? We just tighten it way down to the very, very basics. And we're talking about dinner right now, but I want to also put like say for breakfast and for lunch, if you can even simplify those down where you have 2 or 3 go-to meals that you rotate through for breakfast or lunch, just keep it real boring during the day. Then you can add a little bit more flair to dinner. You can make it a little bit easier to enjoy that. And then if you have a really light, boring day of eating, A, you're gonna have more energy for the day. B, you're gonna burn more fat. And then C, you have a lot more flexibility with dinner. So if you did add a piece of key lime pie in, great. The other cool thing about having a framework, right, is that Matt, let's say you're like, okay, protein, carb, and vegetable. You're like, all right, I got Brussels sprouts. I got some grilled shrimp, and then I only have Captain Crunch. Guess what? It fits the framework, right? So now it's just moving in and out your favorite foods where you're not having to stress so much about like, okay, is it clean? Did I get enough? Can I only eat oatmeal? You know, like we can break away from some of like the fitness jargon that has been inundated, like, and like so confusing, and just work on can we satisfy the framework? And a lot of this will come over time where you're like, okay, the list of proteins, that's going to be meats, eggs, some dairy. Okay. Carbohydrates here. Like I'm going to go with bread, grains, potatoes, rice, tortilla. Great. And then vegetables. Obviously we know what vegetables are. Brittany, what were you going to say?
Can you repeat the framework for the breakfast and lunch? I think it was protein and fat.
Protein and fat for breakfast, protein and vegetables for lunch. Super simple. And I also have, I have what's called my daily investments. So in the book, I talk about 7 daily investments. I have a scorecard. Let's see. I think that's the link. I put it in the chat. So if you want to download that scorecard, it'll give you the exact framework there. So keeping it super simple, figuring out how you can like take this into just the lowest common denominator, because now even if you just walked away from this right now and you didn't have any other ideas, good question, Janice. I'm not totally sure. I don't have it in front of me right now. I'll look in a second. Next time we take a quick break. Janice asked what page in my book. So if you guys have memorized the $1 Million Body Method, jump in now. Cool. So even if you take nothing else away from this, but other than the framework and simplify down, now what you can do is you can roll up to Costco to the frozen food section and you can be like, all right, these are vegetable. Great. I have frozen vegetables on hand. I love the stir fry vegetables and I love the fajita vegetables. Those live in my fridge in perpetuity. They just live there because it's so easy to pull those out and turn that into a meal. Right? Carbohydrates. What are those going to be? Easy one is going to be potatoes. Trader Joe's does a great frozen potato. Rice. If you just have rice in a rice cooker, that's going to make your life so much easier. So now you have those 2 things already locked down. And then now all we need to do is prepare the protein. Okay. So maybe you're going to do Greek yogurt because you're really just strapped. You don't have anything else in the fridge. Maybe you're just eating beef jerky from the gas station, or maybe you have like 10 minutes. You want to throw something on the barbecue. Okay. But now do you see how with this framework, you have all this freedom to just insert things into how you like to, for your taste, for your family taste? Can anyone want to just throw some at me real quick, using the framework of protein, carbs, veggies? What kind of a meal would you create? Someone either throw them into the chat, shout them out. Don't raise your hand. Just say them.
Just steak, rice, And then what am I missing?
What are you missing?
Veggies. Right?
Yep.
So for veggies, you're gonna do a nice cold Modelo. Like your green veggies.
That's a grain.
What about for breakfast? I do eggs, and then I do 4 eggs. I do tortillas, and then I do my fats. So I'll do like avocado, half an avocado, or like 25 almonds.
Great. Eggs and avocados, great. Eggs and almonds are great. I would probably leave the tortilla off using this framework. If it worked for you, great. But I personally prefer to put my carbohydrates towards the end of the day.
Nice.
Who else? Who else has got a dinner, protein, carbs, and vegetable that they can top of your dome? What would you add?
I make a turkey stir fry a lot, like with ground turkey, and then I make it with white rice, and I'll put a lot of vegetables like broccoli or carrots and stuff.
Perfect. Okay. So now you get the stir fry vegetables from Costco. You cook the ground turkey. You put the rice cooker on. In 11 minutes, you have a great, healthy meal done, ready to roll. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. And you didn't necessarily need to even go prep that. And what's cool about that, we're going to talk about this in a second, is batch prep. Okay. How do you cook enough that you have more for later? Anyone else? Let's go one more. What else you got? Turkey stir fry is great.
Sure. I take like a ground meat, like bison or venison or just grass-fed beef. With I cube up some red like yams or sweet potatoes and throw them in the air fryer with some quinoa and sometimes some Brussels sprouts.
Beautiful.
Mix all together.
And you'll actually put the ground meat with the cubed sweet potatoes with the Brussels sprouts in the air fryer?
No. All made separate.
Okay, got it.
And then I toss them together.
How long does it take the air fryer to do the potatoes?
9 minutes.
Okay, because that's one I don't even have that, and and that sounds like exactly what we're talking about. So, air fryer for the win. You heard it here first. You heard it here from Brent. Brent is leading our next class. Okay, so that's number one: is simplify your meals, master the mundane. There's a quote I really like that says, "Be boring and orderly in your life," and I read this as fitness and nutrition, so that you can be violent and original in your work. Okay, all of us have things we like to do. Probably mastering the hip angle of a Bulgarian split squat and mastering the macros of halibut versus mackerel are not like the two things that we want occupying the space in our brains. So let's make this stuff very boring, very easy to master. And that way you can spend all your time, mental energy focusing on the things that are so important to you and that actually drive you and build energy and give you the output you're looking for. All right. The second thing that I want to talk about is sauces and spices. Okay. Now I think again, I'm just shitting on Blue Apron right now, but I think that a lot of us see when they ship out, here's 2 sour creams and a cream cheese and some chives, and you got to put this little mustard powder on it. And you're and now you're mixing it in a tiny bowl. And I got 47 things to wash after this. Really, Blue Apron? You think I'm just made of time? That's not what we want to do, especially when a lot of these sauces that are so delicious are really high in fats, really high in calories. We don't need that. Sauces, the best sauces in the world are going to be the lower carb, lower calorie ones. So if you can write these down if you want to, but basically we're looking at a hot sauce. You're looking at mustard, you're looking at vinegar, you're looking at soy sauce, you're looking at sriracha. Those are all really great options. Okay. Those are the things that are going to add a lot of flavor to your dishes, add a lot of variety, but not necessarily add any more calories. Those are all calorie-free sauces. Kind of next on that list is buffalo sauce is pretty good. There's some good barbecue sauces, especially sugar-free. You can get really low sugar or sugar-free ketchups too. I highly recommend that because kids put ketchup on everything. I don't know if that's my kids or all kids, but my kids are great croissant, ketchup, beef, ketchup. You guys are gross. My son's ketchup, mouth. I'm oh man. He loves dip. Anything dip, he's into it. Hummus, salsa, he's dit. I'm that's okay. You're too. It's fine. So we want to make sure that we're getting ourselves the ability to eat foods that are not always the same, Ricardo, but not necessarily adding in a bunch of time consuming elements to it, and also not adding in a bunch of extra calories. So for example, I think hot sauce is one of the best options. If you don't like hot sauce, I am so sorry. And maybe you should leave now. Okay. Now that they're gone, so getting a hot sauce that I think everyone should have a daily driver hot sauce, right? That just goes on most things. And then you have 1 or 2 that are specialty, a little bit different. So, but having that's perfect for any sort of chili, baked potato, barbecue foods, more of like the Mexican style burrito bowls. I'll put hot sauce or sriracha in my fried rice as well. I think that's a great way to add a little bit of a kick. That vinegar I'm a big fan of that as well. Okay. And if you're not necessarily a fan of those sauces, or you don't like like a hot sauce, then lean heavily on the spices, right? A lot of people think that they need to be very fancy with this, when in most of the time, if you just have salt and pepper and olive oil on all the things you cook, that is going to give you such a better flavor profile, because you're actually going to be able to taste the food that you're eating, so salt and pepper and olive oil is going to be one of the best things you can do. If you're cooking stuff in the oven, you're cooking Brussels sprouts, salt, pepper, olive oil. You're cooking potatoes, salt, pepper, olive oil. Sweet potatoes, same thing. Anything like that, just make sure your spices are always kind of starting with the base, salt and pepper and olive oil. You don't need to put olive oil on meats though. Okay. Then from there, you can add some cayenne or some paprika, some garlic powder, some onion powder. Anything like that is going to give you just a little bit more of a robust flavor. It's going to make it not taste so dry or bland. So this is especially important when we're talking about proteins and prepping meats. Okay. So number one is simplify everything down. Number two is sauces and seasonings. Lean on the seasonings, go with those low carb sauces. Okay. That's going to be killer. And then the last one that I saved for last, because it's the best. And I'm saying you're going to be like, this is so obvious. Why are we here? It's called batch prep. Okay. And what this is not necessarily meal prep, where you go and you cook a bunch of different meals and you put them all in Tupperware. But basically you're going to take one protein and you're going to base an entire meal around it. Okay. So for example, and I'll show you this. So this is the course you guys are going to have access to afterwards. So it's called Meal Prep Mastery. It's 12 lessons in it. And then there's a handbook too, which I have here. Can you see the handbook that just popped up? Okay. So in this course, let's just show you this real quick. Okay. I use my grill on here, but basically what you're going to see is how to cook chicken thighs, because chicken thighs are the better. Can you hear me? Can you hear this, or just me? Can you hear the video?
No, we can't hear the video.
Perfect. That's great, because I don't want you to. I want to save some surprise for later. So I'm going to walk you through how to prep this chicken thighs, because chicken thighs have a slightly higher fat content than chicken breasts. Generally, they're a little bit less expensive and they stay better longer. So in this video, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make chicken thighs, potato, and broccoli. Protein, carb, vegetable, right? Fits the meal plan. I put some other like seasonings on it from Trader Joe's. I got a couple different options in there. And so I cook a bunch of these things. So I'm going to cook, like you'll see on the grill, I'll put on like 12 or 13 chicken thighs. Just like have a bunch of these, way more than your family's going to eat for one night. Okay. So generally I try to go like 4 times as much. And then you see, I got some over here. I got chicken, or I got some potatoes there. And I got I think broccoli or cauliflower over here that I've seasoned. And so what the goal is now is to cook enough food that you're not necessarily having to go recreate the meal again. So would you believe this? My family ate all this food at one night. This is just one night's food. So I did not batch prep potatoes, because that takes a lot of pans for me. But I have all this chicken now that I throw into a Tupperware. I use the Pyrex, like the glass better than the plastic. And then tomorrow night, I got a bunch of chicken thighs just sitting there waiting for me. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'll go on to the next lesson. So I come home late, Brittany. It's been a long day, putting out fires, doing stuff. Now, all I do is I take 2 scoops of rice into my rice cooker. I chop my chicken thighs up. So now I'm chopped them up into smaller pieces. And I take this tiki masala sauce and just cook it all on the pan while my rice cooker cooks over here. So in 9 minutes now, I've got a really healthy. You got the chicken tiki masala, and then I put frozen peas into this. Okay. So 9 or 10 minutes out the door with a really healthy meal. Okay. And if I've cooked enough of this stuff, enough of the chicken thighs, I should even have it maybe for even one more night. Okay. So what I don't want you to do is batch prep chicken and then eat chicken and then chicken and then chicken by itself, bland. Okay. We need to season it up. We need to change things around. We need to tweak it a little bit so that you're not getting bored of it, so that you can keep this in rotation. Okay. So I put the peas in there, got the chicken, got the vegetables with the peas, and got the rice. Okay. Boom, done. So all done with that. Like, so now that's Monday nights, that's Tuesday nights, good to go. Right. So we spent a little bit more time on Monday night to cook all this stuff up. Now Tuesday night, it's taking me 10 minutes. Right. Last one, I'm doing chicken Greek bowls. Okay. And obviously there's a million different options now. So what I did is took the rice cooker, I threw quinoa in it, right? Quinoa, you can cook in a rice cooker. It's no problem. I chopped up some tomatoes. I chopped up some cucumber and put that all in there and put the chicken on top, threw a little Greek yogurt tzatziki sauce. And I have all this, everything you'll need in here as well. So I showed you my secret recipe on how do I cut not only the cucumber, but my hand open. I think I missed this time, but just so now you have 3 meals done for the week. You don't have to think about it. This again took me about under 15 minutes to prep all this stuff and get it ready to roll. And then like, you'll notice that I'm putting a lot of sauces on these things between the Greek, like the tzatziki sauce, the tikka masala, and with the, like a little bit like flavor, your kids are going to enjoy this a lot more than just, trying to get them to eat. Like to your point, Matt, trying to get them off soft foods and onto chicken breast, right? So now you give them something else in there. So like I do sometimes take just ground beef and just squirt ketchup on it because that's my son likes it, but giving them a little bit of an incentive to do so without overloading them with sugar and calories. Okay, great. So that's chicken, right? So we've come to the end of our chicken situation. It's been a fun ride and we've all enjoyed it. So now so that was Monday, that was Tuesday, that was Wednesday. What's next? Now we're cooking ground beef. Okay. So Thursday night comes, we cook a bunch of ground beef up. And I think I just talked about ground beef. Like the first night I just go into ground beef tacos. Okay. Tacos I'm a big fan of. So we cook the ground beef up. I think, yeah. So I've had it already in the Tupperware. I throw it into the pan to like cook it up a little bit more. And you can throw some like fajita vegetables in there. Got the baby. So you know it's real. I don't know what I'm talking about here. Let's cook. Bro, can you cook the tacos? This guy and his long hair. It's disgusting. All right. So got the tacos. I got a little cojita cheese. I put some salsa on. Salsa is the vegetable in this case. And then the tortilla is my carbohydrate. Like, how long is this taking us? Like, especially if you reheat it in the microwave, you're out the door in like 4 minutes now with this. Yeah. I look like a homeless person in this video too. I should have probably been wearing like a hairnet. Okay, so we got the tacos done. Great. Now next thing is we're going to go right into no video for this one. Wow. Should get your money back. Basically take this, turn it into a rice bowl, put the rice in the rice cooker, throw the ground beef in there. And then you can use some fajita vegetables, some plain Greek yogurt, and kind of just turn this into a taco or a burrito bowl. Okay. Add in some salsa, add in some fajita vegetables, add in some peppers, add in some anything else, cheese, whatever else you want in here. But between the rice cooker and the batch prepped ground beef, you should be like making this very, very easy. And then the last one, this is a really fun one, is shepherd's pie. And a lot of times this seems like, oh man, it's a lot of work to do shepherd's pie. But if you go to Costco, they have these packets of like instant mashed potatoes that are pretty innocuous. They're made with mostly mashed potatoes. There's like 3 or 4 ingredients. They're not like the ones you get with the Ore-Ida that have like 27 different ingredients, 3 different types of seed oils and that sort of thing. So I'm cooking that in the microwave. At the same time, I'm throwing this in here, the ground beef in the pan. Now I throw some carrots, some peas, and some beans into this. And then I just scoop the mashed potatoes on top. Now, if you're real fancy, you can take that pan, you could throw it into the oven, let it crisp on top. Depends on how chef's kiss you want to get. I don't do that because I'm hungry and my kids are yelling at me. So a little bit of seasoning, a little bit of salt, and now we have that out the door. Okay. So now we've done Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night. Now, probably you're going to go out to eat one night this week, right? Or you're going to grab Chipotle, or, you're just going to eat 9 beers for dinner. So you're going to have so now with just basically you've cooked 2 times. You cooked the ground beef and you've cooked the chicken. And now you have 6 great meals for the week. And so you see how without having to go and craft a 4-hour-long session where you have to use and clean every single bowl in your kitchen. And you have to find this time on Sunday and you don't get to watch the game while it's happening. You can do one night that's takes a little bit longer, not even with some of the ground beef or the barbecue. The potatoes are the thing that takes the longest. So chopping the potatoes is kind of annoying. And then, or you can just throw in a baked potato. Still takes about 45 minutes. but is not, but you just throw it in there and walk away, do your other things. So as long as you are like, you have these ideas of kind of like what your prep time is going to look like, what you want to eat, and then what the next 2 nights are going to look like based off the batch prep you've done, you can start making nutrition so goddamn easy. It's astounding, right? But I think a lot of it is, we need to prep a little bit ahead of time. So we need to know what we're going to have, and then we need to cook a little bit more in the moment. So that is, yeah, salsa is my favorite vegetable too, Brittany. I feel like that was a lot. I went into that. And then obviously there's the next category. I talk a bit more about, what was it? I could talk about pulled pork. So using a slow cooker. I bet you could use an Instapot or maybe even an air fryer for that. I'm not totally sure. But so there's a whole other, like another series of 3. So you can rotate through these 3. And I didn't even get into like cooking steaks or ground turkey, like you said, Brittany. So you can now take this idea and you can be like, oh, well, he didn't even talk about this type of food that we really like. And you can start inserting this, right? Because we have the framework that we talked about in terms of the simplicity. What are you guys thinking about this? Is this like, are you guys getting kind of excited? Are you getting some ideas about this? Or does this still sound pretty daunting?
Sounds way easier than what I was doing.
Awesome. Matt, what about you?
Yeah, I think the concept of like having that base, right? So the chicken or the ground beef, and then like turning it into different unique meals is good. I also see this as an option for like dinner and then a lunch type of thing. You know what I mean?
Totally. Yeah. And so like,
'cause that's one of my goals too, is to like bring my lunch and not go to Whole Foods and spend, $16-20 on at the salad bar or whatnot.
Yeah. And then I think that like, if you're prepping enough food, like cooking 2.5-3 pounds of beef at a time, cooking 20 chicken thighs at a time, now you just take those chicken thighs, you chop them up, you have a little bit of sauce, and you bring like a bag of baby carrots or some sliced peppers, something that's going to get you through the day, but not necessarily fill you up, because I don't think you should be filling yourself up at lunch. Have that Chipotle burrito syndrome where you're like, wow, what a great meal. Can't wait to sleep under my desk. Then you start doing like 2 hours worth of work in 4 hours. Anyone done that before? Yeah. So I'm a big fan of eating really light during the day, and then you have a bigger meal at night. Let your body kind of dictate, because this is evolutionarily how we were supposed to be, right? All day long, like ancestrally, we go out on these long walks. We go find this, there's this root we need to go harvest while it's still there. So we walk all day, get the root, and we come back, and then we have like a bigger meal. That's how our bodies are kind of engineered, because all day long we want to be into we're working, we're hunting, we're looking for stuff. Even if I'm standing behind a desk and talking to a microphone or sitting at a desk all day, we still want to be on for our clients, for the people we're working with, for the sales calls that we have, all those things. So you still want to have that mental acuity and that cognition. But at the end of the day, now we want to shift into more of a parasympathetic nervous system dominance. That's a rest and digest state. So you give yourself the permission to eat that bigger meal. You eat lighter during the day. You use the batch prep to eat like a smaller lunch. You can start making this process so easy. Like I said, master the mundane, be boring and orderly in your life, so you can be violent and original in your work. Are you guys feeling excited about this? I get a little excited talking about it.
Hey, Nate, can you touch on the when to eat, like the recommendations for when to eat, in addition
Absolutely.
to kind of, we just talked about what to eat.
Yeah.
And what your thoughts are around that.
So this is I think the what to eat has to go with the when to eat, because a lot of people will talk about, you have to eat 6 small meals per day, stoke your metabolic furnace, right? And we know from a scientific perspective, that's not true, because every time you're eating, you're digesting, you're pulling blood into your gut. So generally speaking, the when to eat is going to be a lot more important based off of your lifestyle. So I have people who are very successful eating kind of at 11 o'clock on into the evening. Some people eat breakfast at 6 a.m., then eat a lunch, then eat a big dinner. So that's not the most important piece. The important pieces here are, how much time are you spending between meals? Are you eating every 3 hours? Are you snacking a lot? Because if so, that is going to be detrimental to your long-term process, because if you're snacking, if you're eating every 3 hours, your body never shifts into a place where it's able to use your stored fat for fuel. So give yourself some space between meals, take some time off. So when you're not eating, and you're not just grabbing a handful of candy unconsciously, The second thing is, the one really important piece is stop eating after dinner. So really, like, if you want dessert, eat dessert with dinner or right after dinner, but stop eating. Cause like I found I was using a Lumen device to like a metabolism tracker. So I was blowing into it. And the biggest things I noticed was that if I ate frequently, if I ate 5 or 6 meals a day, I was always in carb burning mode. I was never in fat burning mode. And if I ate after dinner, if I ate from 8 p.m. on, so like within 2 hours of going to bed, I was going to go to bed around 10:30. I would wake up still burning carbs. If I could finish my food 3 hours before I went to bed, I would wake up burning fat. And it was a small little difference, but it made a big difference long-term. So,
And does that go with any calories?
I would think so. Yeah. Cause even if I was eating even if I was having a protein shake with like proteins and fats in it, I would still wake up in more of a carb burning mode. I mean, that being said, it's not like a hard and a fast rule where you can never eat after 8 o'clock, but just like, kind of keeping that again as a framework and as a guideline that you hit 80% of the time. Make sense? Cool. Anyone else get anything out of this that they're going to take into the next week? I'd love to hear like what maybe one takeaway.
So I'm actually going to start a new challenge myself through the training that I've already been doing with meal prepping on Monday. So I'm definitely not going to stick to the same basic meals just because I know that that's what's helping to make easy to just quit and give up.
Awesome. Love it.
Yeah.
Brittany, anything you're going to take in? Janice loves the simplification.
Yeah, I'm gonna do it in batches instead of everything all in one day. So I think it's helpful to do it in different sections and then have extra protein like ready on hand. So it'll avoid me to grab things I shouldn't grab.
Extra protein on hand is huge. That's perfect. Cool. If it's okay, I'd love to kind of share with everybody right now exactly how we work with clients in the $1 Million Body Program, as well as give anyone who wanted to an opportunity to work with me after this webinar. Is that okay? Cool. So basically, what the $1 Million Body Program is a proven framework that leads to long-term success. Like we talked about, it's not about necessarily getting results in the 6 weeks. It's about how you can maintain them and keep them going, because we're going to fall off. We're going to get busy. We're going to have things that get in the way of us getting the best results possible in the moment. And that's just life, right? If you wait for the right moment, you're never going to actually be successful. So getting a chance to work through those together can create that long-term success you're looking for. Having sort of like realistic strategies around batch prep, around working out, around training in a way that's not going to tax your body, that's actually going to lead to the results you're looking for, is going to allow you to have longer term success, not get injured the way a lot of us do, starting off with like Orange Theory or CrossFit, as well as having like this framework is kind of creates a built-in insurance policy that allows for progress, even if you do eat mac and cheese or pizza with your kids at night and you don't exactly follow this framework. Having some of those pieces in place that allow you to be like, all right, on to the next meal and not stress about it or beat yourself up about it, have that screw it, I blew it mentality is going to be perfect. And then I really feel like this is a simple solution that communicates to your body and provides complex instructions on how do you burn fat for fuel? How do you reduce your cravings? And how do you create focus when you need it? Because I think when you focus on energy, the physical results follow. Okay. So it's just a structure that allows fitness to be on the back burner while you do the more important things in your life. So I'm gonna put a link in the chat right now. If you guys want to click it, just take a look at it. There's a couple different ways to work together. Whether you want to jump into the mastermind and get the roadmap for success, whether you want one-on-one coaching, that's where we're working together like more hand in hand, or if you just like, let's book a quick call. I'd love to talk about it. There's a couple of different ways, but I would just really like to invite you guys, if that sounds interesting, if you've gotten some value from this is a lot of what we talk about in the $1 Million Body Program. Tennille's a part of the program. Tennille, would you agree, or am I lying? It's a lot of this BS.
No, this has actually been a game changer for me.
Cool. I appreciate that. So yeah, if that's something that's like, sounds really good, click the link, check it out. I can show you how it works. And then, right now, if you want to opt in, I will give you a free month on the back end. So if you sign up today after the webinar, or if you're watching this on the replay and you sign up this week, the week of the 5th, I'll give you an extra free month based off of whatever you pay for. So let me know. Anyone else have any questions though about batch prep, meal prep, nutrition, supplements, anything else like that before we jump off today? I'm amazed we kept this in an hour, by the way. More often very verbose.
Hey, Nate, if we wanted to schedule just like a 10-minute like one-on-one just to learn more about the program and kind of individual goals, is that something that is an option?
Yeah, here you go. Let's see. Does that work? Nope. There you go. That should be clickable. Yeah, book a time. Yeah, that goes for anyone else. You want to book a time real quick? You want to just talk about what your specifics, or if you have any, like, I don't know if this is the right time or the right program for me, we can talk through that sort of thing. So would love to chat with anyone. Let me throw this in the Facebook group if in case it's helpful. Book a quick 15-minute call. Maybe we can follow up, chat about it, whatever you need. And then if you are looking for that, the coaching, you want to see what that's about, that's also, that link is going to be in the Facebook group. So check it out. Jalen tuned in on her fast day. So I think she jumped in right as I was showcasing all the delicious food I was making. So at least I wasn't eating it in front of you, Jalen. So awesome. Anything else? Any other questions? Last minute or two here. Cool. And guys, I just want to invite you, like, I really want to be a no BS approach to fitness. So if you're like, hey, what about this supplement? I heard this guy talk about this. What do you see in this article? Run that by me, because the chances are, like, I've seen it or heard about it before. I would love to be a resource for you. Or if you have any other questions, you're like, I hired a personal trainer, they told me this, like, let's hear it. Let's talk about it, because I want to dispel those myths and make sure you always have a place to go back to if you want to figure out what's real in fitness and what's a gimmick, what's marketing, that sort of thing. Cool. Brent, you want to say something?
I need to bounce. I just wanted to say thank you for, I guess, practicing what you preach and not making up some plan that you can't follow and you don't do yourself. So I think you're living it and it works. So
Bro, you should try my cigarette diet. It works every time. Thanks for being here, Brent. It was nice to see you, man.
You too. See you, Matt.
All
See
right,
you
guys.
guys.
Thank you so
Thanks,
much for being
Nate.
here. I appreciate y'all.
I'll schedule some time.
Awesome. I'll look forward to talking to you all soon. If you need anything else, hit me up. I'm here for it.
Thanks, Nate.